Well, awesome. Well, we are so happy to have you today. So we kind of flipped the script just a little bit today. So we're going to actually talk to Mr. Wilmot about just his journey, his process of purchasing his home. Because as we know, we always try to, the purpose of this podcast or live, I think eventually it may become a podcast, is so that we can, one, inspire you guys, educate you guys on just the benefits of home ownership. You
Oh yeah.
know, the ins and out of what it takes to own a home because we truly believe that home ownership is the number one way
Yeah.
to start creating wealth for your family, to leave a legacy behind. And so, any way that we can educate and inspire you guys to do so, that is our passion. That is our number one goal. So, Mr. Wilmot, when you bought your first house, give us a little bit of a background story. What made you decide to buy? How did that journey, start off for you and your family?
Oh man. First of all, I'm gonna say this. This could be a long story, but I'm gonna try my best to keep it as short as possible. But wow, like so, me and my wife had a little girl. Uh, she was like, I want to say 2, 3 years old at the time. Uh, and we were just moving back from Baton Rouge, South. I mean, not Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Sorry
Oh,
about that.
man, I didn't even know you was in
Yeah, I know,
Louisiana.
right? Baton Rouge, South Carolina, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we were down there for 4 years. My wife had to get her doctorate, and we moved back. We was like had every intention, like, hey man, we about to do this, about to go buy a house. Matter of fact, we were thinking about building first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we bought some land, right? That's a whole nother story. Okay, I can go into the weeds on that, but man, just God just had a different plan for us. So we kept running into all these little roadblocks. It was like, man, we just trying to build this house that we want, and just so happened one of my wife's her worship leader at her church was like, hey, a house down the street. We know the owners. They're about to put it on the market. So we were like, I was all the way in Chicago at the time working. I was doing insurance. Like I said, this could be a long story, but I'm gonna try my best to keep it short. All right. I was doing insurance in Chicago, running claims, and my wife said, hey, I'm gonna go take a look at this house. I don't know, it's in this expensive community. I don't think we can afford anything over there. So I was like, well, just take a look at it. Just take a look at it. We had already started the loan process. So we didn't start looking at a house first. We started the loan process first because we were trying to build.
Gee.
And pretty much the lady said, hey, come take a look at the house. Told her we was already pre-approved, looked at the home, and man, wife loved it. Loved it. And I said, babe, if you love it, let's move on it. Funny thing is, we didn't use a realtor, right?
There was
Right.
no
Didn't
will.
use
There was no Wilmot Barry in the
there
transaction.
wasn't
so
there
so let's
wasn't.
so let's pause there for just a
Oh
second.
man, here we go.
So you guys wanted to purchase a home. You started
Yeah.
off buying a piece of land. So I'm assuming in that process, you probably found out is a little bit more extensive, maybe than what you thought it
Oh,
would be.
oh man. Well, for us, I think because it was just we just didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have anybody guiding us, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
So we
I
didn't
mean,
know. We
building on
didn't.
your own land is, I mean, it's a feat in its own. And
We
I
didn't.
mean, I guess I don't want to speak out of turn, but were you guys first time home buyers? So this was your
We
first house,
we
and so you
first
were
house.
really kind of, I call it diving all in if you wanted to try to
Yeah.
build first go around.
Yeah, didn't know what we were doing, guys. Like we built houses before. Like
Mhm.
so we just thought, hey, we just get a contractor. We got the land.
Sketch it out.
Buy some plans. Bought more than one plan,
Mm,
so wasted some money there.
right.
Didn't realize different builders, they may even have plans themselves. You know, so key thing there, might want to check with the builder to see if they have any of their own plans that they can have you take a look at. Also, but yeah, that's how it started. We were going to build. We had no intention of. I don't think we had an intention of buying at that point. Yeah.
So what made you switch from the okay, we're not going to build anymore. We're going to continue on. You already sound like you guys were already pre-approved, so that's always number one on my list. Get
Mm-hmm.
pre-approved first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we were pre-approved to build. So we had a construction loan.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, thank God we really were like in a great position at that point. You know, staying. Let me say this: staying with our parents. Yeah, I said it. We live with my mom and my daddy. You know, um, and I think a lot of people look at that like, man, I can't do that. I can't go back home. You know, but we were able to save some great money
Mhm.
going back home. It wasn't easy. I'm gonna be honest with you. It really wasn't. You know, it was some sacrifice there. But we don't regret it one bit.
All right.
See, I
Right.
love the fact that you shared
Yeah,
that because one of the
yeah,
things that we tell our clients all the time is that homeownership, to me, it's a mindset
yeah.
and it's a sacrifice.
It is.
And so a lot of people think that, home ownership is, just having the nice kitchen, the nice backyard, just, whatever. But to me, it truly is a mindset. You have to have that mindset where one, you know, you're committed to the process
Mm,
to do what it takes to purchase that home.
yeah,
You
yeah,
have the mindset of, okay, this is a bigger picture. That's something that's bigger than, just, you and your spouse. Like you said, you had a child as well that you're trying to also create something with or for also.
yeah,
Yeah.
So just go ahead, Gavin.
No, I was gonna say, adding to that, I think just mindset. We have that we want to treat buying a house just the same way that we treat buying a new outfit or buying something that we just
Just to
is
look good.
attractive,
Oh, that's
looks
good.
good. But
Hmm.
guys, I mean, and that's good. That's great. You want to get what you want. I mean, we're no different. We all, when we brought our homes, we wanted to get what we wanted. And
yeah.
but you also got to have that same, bring it back full circle. Understand that I'm buying this home not only because I just like it or it's appealing, but it's going to serve a purpose to where I can now build wealth. I can now,
Mm,
I have something that I'm building equity in that I can do greater things with later on in life,
yeah.
and short term and long term. So got to
That's
have that
Mm-hmm.
really good.
mindset all around.
That's really, really good. So let me ask you this one, Mont. So
Mm-hmm.
besides the fact that you and your wife decided that you wanted to buy a house, but why buy? Why didn't y'all want to rent? Or what was your thought process there to be like, okay, I want to buy a house?
So when we were in Baton Rouge, we were renting,
Okay.
right? So we did have an apartment, had a 2 bedroom, 2 bath apartment. And just me and my wife and my little girl. So we've had that experience. It wasn't like, we went from straight out of college buy a house. No, it wasn't like that. We definitely knew that home ownership was a priority for us.
Mhm. Well,
You
where would you
know,
say that stemmed from? Did your parents own a house? Did your wife's parents own a house? Like,
yeah, both our parents
okay.
own homes. So I think that probably was a big thing. That was a big thing because we looked at like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to own a house. So
Mhm.
not saying that's right for everyone. We knew we wanted to set roots someplace, be established somewhere. And once we found that, church is here, my kids go to school here, we work here. Hey, why not just set some roots here and, have some neighbors, So like we
Mhm.
wanted that whole community. Brett will be able to take the kids on bike rides, stuff like that. I mean, that's just what we wanted.
So it sounds
Yeah.
like I had a vision. That's what I just heard.
We saw it. Yeah, we saw it. Yeah.
You
Mhm.
had a vision. So
Yeah.
so the title of this segment today is all about like what did it take? So how did
Mm,
you and your wife prepare to buy a house? We know that you guys started off wanting to build, but how
mm.
did you prepare for that? Whether it's credit, savings, just going to get the loan, like how did you prepare for this journey?
So one of the
Or
things I
were you
would say,
not prepared?
one of the things I would say is this, right? I know I said that I didn't use a realtor to buy my house. Technically, I did, because I had some good friends that were realtors
Mhm.
and family members, and I asked them for advice. I really did. The house we bought wasn't even on the market. Let me put it like that. So it was one of those things where the house wasn't on the market, and I was able to kind of, pull on their experience to kind of help us through the process. Now, that being said, do I even know what was on my contract? I don't even know what was on my contract at the moment. But that's one of the risks you take when you are maybe trying to buy a home without a real estate agent. You know, you don't know about all the ins and outs of the contract. We could have probably lost earnest money, all of that jazz. But
So who
one,
wrote the contract for you guys?
uh, I think it was I think it was the attorney kind of put the terms together for us.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of, you see my eyes, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that's how that happened. Yeah, so that just goes to show you, like, kind of, I really put ourselves out there at risk because just wasn't guided properly. Yeah. So
Well, that's good. So, okay, so take us back on your journey. So,
mhm.
um, you guys go through the process of buying a house. You're already pre-approved, so you went through that obstacle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Of qualifying. So, did you run into any challenges like getting the house appraised? Anything with the inspection? Was there anything that you experienced through that?
So when we first got started, I didn't know what earnest money was, right? So I was like, well, why we gotta put our earnest money?
Tell the people why.
And I was like, why? I thought we gotta make a down payment to the bank. I thought it was the same thing, but it's not. So it's one of those things where the seller would like to see, hey, are you serious about this property? And being able to put aside some funds into an escrow account to just show them, hey, this is how serious I am about purchasing this home. Um, did I probably put down too much? I think I did put down too much earnest money. Uh, and you don't realize, like, whenever you get out of an agreement of a deal with a seller, the seller has to agree to release that earnest money as well. You can't just say, I want my earnest money back, you know, um, and don't even know your terms.
Yeah.
But one of to go back to your question, LaShawn, about challenges and what are the things, some of the things I ran into was, yeah, we had an inspection done. We had to pay for an inspection. You know, that's not something typically covered by the seller.
Mhm.
I had to pay for an inspection that ran us. I think it was in between $300 to $400.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, why is it important? So we could ask that question a lot about the home inspection. A lot of people
Mm,
get it mixed up with the appraisal. But
mm.
do you feel that a home inspection is necessary? Do you feel that it's important?
Yeah, home inspections are critical.
Critical.
Okay, critical. I'm gonna put it like that. Critical. Why is that? Because you can look at a house and say, "Man, this house looks good." Right? It looks good.
Mhm.
But your home inspection, that home inspector really digs into the components of the house.
Mhm.
Hey, how's your electrical looking? How's your plumbing looking? The things that's going to make your house function
Yeah.
on a daily basis. You want those items inspected by a professional. Okay, so I think that's one of the number one things a home buyer should do is get a home inspection.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Totally agree. So, was there anything else along your journey that you would like to share with people? Any life lessons? I know you said you didn't use a realtor, but you had like friends that had their real estate
Mhm.
license that provided you with good counsel and advice there. But as
Yeah.
far as the process itself, was it a tough transition trying to, just making sure that, the funds were in the right place? You had all the documentation that's needed, and we'll kind of touch on typically what's
Mhm.
required um,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
buy a house, because generally depending on at that time were you and your wife both like W-2 employees, or one of you like 1099 or self-employed or anything like that?
So both of us had jobs. Okay, W-2 employees at the time. Yeah, so let me let me say this to LaShawn, just to be transparent with y'all. Like, our process probably went smoother than a lot of processes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I just believe this is the home God had for us. Not saying that if you don't go through any struggles, it's not the house God got for you, but
Right.
it just went so smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Had some great sellers, and when we got our home inspection done, we were able to get agreed on the repairs that needed to be
Mm-hmm.
made to the house. Key point: I don't care how perfect the house looks, something's going to be wrong with it. I don't
Right.
care if it's a new build or the owner kept the home in mint condition. There's going to be something wrong with that property. Um, but another thing, one of the one of the things I didn't do was, hey, I didn't get an AC unit inspection,
Okay.
because guess what happened that summer?
AC
My AC
unit.
unit went out, right? So, uh, if I would probably had an agent probably would have guided me to, hey, get your HVAC inspection done. Unit was very old at the time, and we ended up maybe getting a home warranty on the house, just to catch any of those little loose ends that might pop up
Mm-hmm.
during home ownership. So,
Well, good, good, good. So
mhm,
back to just the topic that we are talking about, like, what does the process take? Like, what does it look like if you want to start that journey? So one is like prepare yourself, right? Just knowing to me is half the battle, right? Because if you know, I call it the rules of the game. You know what I mean?
mhm,
You can better
mhm,
play the game, right? You
mhm.
can better, position yourself so that you can put yourself, you know, in the right spaces in life so that you can accomplish what it is that you're seeking.
Yeah,
So credit, because I get asked that a lot. Well, what does my credit needs to be to buy a house, right? So making sure your credit, it doesn't have to be perfect, but making sure that your credit is at least in a good, and what I consider good is at least a 620 credit score, right? To kind of position yourself to at least start that process.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that I would advise everyone is that, I mean, Wilmot, can you buy a house with no money?
yeah.
We talked about this before on another.
So and that's probably one of the reasons why we having this topic right now, because guys, of course, there's that says with no money down, yeah, no money down, but there's some costs,
Mm-hmm.
fees that's in there that you need to be aware about, and that's one of them was the home inspection.
Hmm. And the
uh
earnest money, right? That's
Earnest
not
money.
covered by your loan.
Yep, earnest money, home inspections,
And then
different
sometimes,
inspections. Yep.
yeah, sometimes you may not have to bring the money, but you must have the money in
Mhm.
terms of reserves. So
Exactly.
sometimes in order to get approved for a
Hmm.
loan, you know the lender or the bank wants to see that something goes wrong, you have at
Yeah.
least 2 months of monthly mortgage payments stored up somewhere
Yeah.
that you can get easy access to.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that too.
Yeah. Also appraisal, right? uh your appraisals, I know some lenders can, you know kind of give you a credit for that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, most times it's maybe something you pay for at closing. It'll be
Hmm.
included in the closing
Hmm.
cost.
But if not, just let's consider that, like part of your closing costs, right?
Mhm.
So part of your closing costs, attorney fees, different things like that, that's in your closing costs. You just need to be aware of those things, because I would hate for you to, like, get in this process thinking like, hey man, I don't need nothing. Now they do got programs, that's out
They
there
do.
that can help you with that. If you got a good agent, he might can negotiate closing costs for you, so you won't have to pay for those certain items. But a typical appraisal, it'll run you in between what, $500 to $700, something like
That's
that.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
let's kind of unpack what you just said, just to give people, because I like to make sure, like, we're transparent, we're
yeah,
honest, we're upfront. We just let people, put practicalness to people things. So
exactly.
earnest money, let's start there, right?
Hmm.
On average, what would you say a person would put down?
So That's a loaded question. I'm gonna tell you
Right.
why. Because in Orangeburg, right, average price point in this area, in between that 170 to $300,000, right, and maybe lower. Will I tell someone they need to put down $3,000 in earnest money? No.
Mhm.
I've had clients put down $500 earnest money.
Okay.
Okay, $1,000 earnest money. You know, be honest with you, typical in this area, that $1,000 will probably get you there. I
Mhm.
know some areas, I know some other areas might with more expensive homes, or they might require the seller might say, hey, I would like to see them put, maybe 1% down of the purchase price or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but man, typically I can get my clients $500 earnest money, $1,000 earnest money, you know, uh, to get the contract. So
Okay, I like
yeah,
that. So let's just do easy math. Let's do
yeah,
$500 bare minimum. five hundred
five.
dollars for earnest money.
Mm-hmm.
Next, you said a home inspection ran us about how much? You said
So let's say in between three to like let's say 325, something like that. Average price point right here.
okay.
Yeah,
Let's do
Mhm.
round numbers. $300. So
$300.
500 for earnest, 300 for home inspection. And if they
Mm-hmm.
had to pay for the appraisal up front, guy, what we say on average? What are we collecting for an appraisal?
Yeah. On average, I mean, standard is probably about 575, 600. So let's make the math easy. Say 600.
Okay. So we
Um,
had
Mm-hmm.
600, 300, and 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we have
And
14. Oh.
and that's only if you get a home inspection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you want to get the HVAC inspected. That's a different inspection.
Mm,
Right.
Okay.
okay.
The home inspector is going to turn it on and make sure it heats and cools, but that doesn't mean it's been fully evaluated or diagnosed with any or looked at thoroughly.
That's a good
Okay.
point. I don't think I knew that.
And then also you got to remember you got the termite inspection that sometimes you
There
know
you go.
the seller. I mean, and from what I've seen, I guess majority of cases the seller may pay for that termite inspection, but could be the cost of the borrower.
Well,
So,
let's go there. Let's go there real quick, Gavin, because in recent markets, right, a lot of times to be competitive, the
Mhm.
buyer has been paying for that.
Right.
Okay, because we're trying to make sure our offer gets accepted. So it was like, hey, we're not going to ask for this. Let's take care of this you know termite inspection. Typical termite inspection around here is in between 100 and $150. Okay, so those are some things you want to consider as well. Hmm.
so this is really good information. So between earnest money, home inspection, an HVAC, which is a specialized inspection, a
Yep.
termite inspection, and appraisal. So right now it sounds like we're talking about just to get started, anywhere from 14 to maybe let's just say $2,000, because that can put you somewhere in that range. Depends on how much that HVAC inspection costs, in addition to termite and things like that.
Mhm.
So just to get started, $2,000 at minimum is needed. And none of these items are covered by no money down program, any other loan program, USDA, VA, none of that. This
Right.
Hmm.
is money out of your pocket,
Yeah, yeah, man.
right? And
Yeah.
then if you don't get any of those programs that I mentioned, like a no money down, 100% USDA, VA type of loan, you have down payment, right?
Mm. Hmm.
Your down payment is typically for a first time home buyer. What would you say, Gav?
Well, I mean, it's just either if you conventional loan 3%, for government backed loan, FHA or whatever, 3.5%,
Mm.
Yeah.
and that's of your whatever the purchase price is.
Yeah. So based on what you said, the average price of a house in Orangeburg right now, what amount would you say is about how much?
Let's just say 200,000 to make my math easy.
Yeah. Go with that. Go with that
Yeah.
for yeah.
So you're looking at on conventional, looking at $6,000 down payment.
Hmm.
Uh, FHA, you're looking at 7,000.
Okay. So we at either 6 or 7 thousand for a down payment, and at least close to 14 to maybe $2,000 just for upfront costs. And
Yeah.
then you mentioned earlier about closing costs as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's make sure they know like uh that your closing costs. So let's go there, right? With closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Because typical like rule of thumb, like I'm writing up a contract for a client. I find this to be, across the board with most lenders. I go with estimated about 4% closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
I know sometimes you can their closing costs might be lower, okay,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes it might be higher, just depending on, you know, I guess the type of loan they might be getting or the type or the mortgage company. Y'all might correct me if I'm wrong on that,
No,
but
you're right. Yeah, I mean, different
yeah,
fees. You know,
different
you might want
fees.
the customer might need to buy down the rate, things of that sort. So there are
Yeah,
several different factors that can inflate, or help deflate a borrower's closing costs. So,
yeah,
but yeah, but that's a good rule of thumb. I mean, at 3 to 4%, um,
mm-hmm,
definitely is a good, you know, uh, I think LaShawn the same way. I think is as long as kind of need to match your down payment pretty much your whatever you have to bring up front,
mm,
kind of mirror that. So
Yeah, so like, and what I, and the whole point of me asking these questions is because I like people to make sure that they have the right expectation when they go into this process of purchasing a home. Because to me, your expectation, it drives your experience. You know what I mean? It
exactly,
drives, just your actions on how you need to prepare yourself.
exactly,
Now, so like I said, just to recap, so we're roughly at whole numbers anywhere from $14,000 to $2,000 in upfront cost. You're at upwards to 6 to 7 thousand for a down payment. On the
mm-hmm,
back end for closing costs, you can be anywhere from that same 7 or 8 thousand. This depends on your credit profile, right? Now
yeah,
we will give disclaimers. There are programs out there. There are down
exactly,
payment assistance programs. Wilmot will tell you all about how things can be negotiated with the seller to get some closing costs covered. So it's not 100% that you will have to come up with all of this money of your own, but we want to make sure that you are at least aware of the cost. So
mm-hmm,
that way, in the event that you don't qualify for a program, you can't get all the closing costs negotiated. You would at least be somewhat prepared to
mm,
have some of these funds to help you along this journey.
mhm.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, I had no clue. But I just knew this had to be paid. Let me pay it, So, and some of that stuff probably could have been paid by the seller.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just didn't
but
know any
sometimes,
better.
like you said, you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you don't know what to ask. And so we know we're about to round out to our 30 minutes, and this actually went by very quickly. And I feel like there
It
was some
did.
very good, nuggets dropped in this video. So definitely, as people go back and watch this, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. If you guys have any questions, you can send us a direct message on social media. We definitely hope that this video was and this topic was definitely informative to you guys. I see we got a lot of likes and hearts, so it sounds like you guys are liking it. If there is any topic that you guys would like for us to talk about, please send us a message, post a comment. We'll be more than happy to address it because we want to help individuals. We are coming to a town near you very soon.
Hmm.
So I know Wilmot and I and Team Abraham, we're going to be definitely putting some things together in the future in Orangeburg, to do some home buyer seminars. We do a lot of them here in the Charleston, Somerville area. So definitely feel free to attend, search for local events that are going on there. So anything
Awesome,
else you guys want to add?
awesome. I I want to say this because I don't want nobody to make this mistake. This is one of the mistakes I made when we were like getting ready to buy a home. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you still there?
My screen went to sleep on me just now. So 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 me and my wife started paying off a bunch of stuff, right? Pay off cars, stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we about to buy a house. But guess what happened? Our credit
Drop your
score
credit.
went. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like,
That's
what
gonna
in
be
the
our next
world?
topic.
So you
I like
don't
that.
want to miss when we talk
Next
about
week.
this.
Yeah, next week.
Write that down so I don't forget. And then so I learned that you guys who are viewing right now, you can turn on your notifications by clicking the bell icon. So that way when we're going live in the future, next week, you'll get that notification that we're live so you guys can tune in. So we will talk about exactly what you said about paying off debt prior to
There you go.
the process.